Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dutchy Gaming, and a quick video on the channel going over an update for the Reign of Arrows build guide that I bought out last league for Raider. There are no changes in patch notes, but there are some changes I think I would make to the build if I played it again. So the build guide is still perfectly serviceable. What this video is the changes I made to the build myself as I went through the league, and I've linked a video of a One Divine challenge that I did on Reign of Arrows, and that version worked so well. It's not going to be one divine at league start. You're probably going to be looking 6 to 8 divines, but it did all of the invitations. I didn't try the feared. It did Uber Elder, Maven, and any mapping strategy I wanted to do. It did it really, really well. It's also very tanky because we convert 60% of the physical damage we take to elemental, and we have an insane amount of life leech. So all I'm going to do is talk through very quickly the changes, but I'd recommend for a detailed explanation, just check out the video. I just don't want to go on too long because you're then going to have to go and watch the other video. It's just to let you know the written guide is now updated. I may tweak it a little bit, but I'm happy with it. It's pretty much finished and it works as it did before. You can use your content on the left to pick the section you want to look at, and it will just explain what you need to do at that part. The only thing I've changed is I had a big section that included crafting all your endgame gear. But because I now recommend running the build a different way, all the gear is different, and I don't want to go putting all this written guide out again when it's just available in a video and it's like 5 or 10 minutes, and then you'll understand how to craft or buy all the gear. So the video is going to be linked in the description. I'd recommend going to that if you want to know more about the gear and how some of the interactions work. So the first change I've made to the build is when I've killed the first 2 pinnacle bosses, and then I'm sort of in farming mode, trying to get currency, get some money together to actually go and then gear up for Uber Elder and Maven. I don't like running ballistas, so I changed to 2 Maniforged Arrow setups. I have 1 damage setup, which I have in a 5-link chest, which is Ice Shot, Lightning Arrow, Burning Arrow, Maniforged Arrows, and Inspiration. And then I have a 4-link of Frenzy, Maniforged Arrows, Inspiration, Power Charge on crit. This combo gives us damage, power charges, and even quicker frenzy charges. The 6-link is the same. It's Val Reign of Arrows, Ellie damage, Inspiration, Mirage Archer, Trinity, and crit damage. For auras, let's update this. We're using Grace, Precision, and Anger. There is no Defiance banner in this build, so let's get rid of that. And this is kind of the setup that I've used. There's no guard skill because we don't have any armor, and I'd rather use the links on a Maniforged Arrow setup than a guard skill that's probably not going to save us anyway. So other than the Maniforged setups, the gems are the same. So the other 2 changes that we've made is we're introducing the Tanu Ahi unique gloves into the build. They are a pair of gloves that give you Onslaught and Adrenaline if you can fill unreserved life with Leech. And the way the build is set up, you will always do this. Details are in the video. I would recommend you go and watch it. The last thing just to go over is I've dropped Cluster Jewels because although they do offer a bit more damage, a lot of people overpaid for Cluster Jewels who follow the build. I don't want that to happen again, so I've just stripped them out of the build completely, and it still works really well. The other thing to mention is I have basically downgraded the bow on this build. This build you would now be able to craft just by spamming a few Shrieking Essences of Wrath, and then you craft crit and intelligence. We lose out on the attack speed and the 3rd elemental damage, so we do lose a lot of DPS, but it's still good enough to get your Atlas clear and farm anything you want to do in red maps. There is still the crafting guide for the bow in the written guide if you want to craft your 1000 LE DPS endgame bow. And just to give you an idea, if you do stick that in, per arrow, the damage on this setup is 665. If you stick the 6 to 8 divine build in, it goes up to over 1 million. So it makes a massive difference, and it's something I would definitely recommend you do, but it's the thing I'd probably do last. Get the build set up like the POB, then go and get your bow, and then if you want to improve other items, you can do so. So other than running a cheaper bow, we're also going to ascend very differently. Now, the way I built the guide in 321 is we went double Onslaught, we went Quartz Infusion and Avatar of the Veil. We didn't take any of the Frenzy nodes, and we just generated Frenzy charges with either Blood Rage, Maniforged Arrows, Mastery to get it on marked enemies. Now we don't need to do that because we get Onslaught from the gloves, so it would be silly to spend 4 points just to get Avatar of the Chase. So the way you're going to ascend now, and it does involve 10-point respec at some point, is your first Ascendancy is going to be Rapid Assault. Should always be Rapid Assault. Even if you get rid of it later, it just speeds up your level in no end. Then when we get a bit later on and we take the second lab, we take Quartz Infusion. At this stage, we are going to be Spell Suppress capped, which is great. 103% spell suppression. When we get through to the third lab, we're going to take Avatar of the Veil. That means we now have 70% ailment avoidance. All we do, if we go to the first set of gear, you will buy, which will be 1 to 2 chaos, a pair of 3-step assault boots that give you 30% Ellie avoidance when you're phasing, and we are always phasing. This means when you hit maps on this version, you're ailment immune and your spell suppression capped, which is amazing. And then when you take your Uber Lab, this is when we dump Rapid Assault because we're going to get it from the gloves that we're running anyway. So if we go to the last non-crit setup, you can see here, we're now going Way of the Poacher, Avatar of the Slaughter, and we have gloves to give us Adrenaline and Onslaught. Again, check the video for how these work. There's lots of things you need to do to make sure you're permanently proccing these buffs. And that's really it. You're going to level exactly the same. Your non-crit version is 99% the same. It's only different when you go into crit because I think it's cheaper this way and you end up getting more out of the build. That's kind of it for the video. POB's updated. It's in the description. The written document is up to date. And if you want to know more, check the linked video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.